much growth weakens an organization. What should be important becomes overshadowed by greed. Mass production? Ridiculous! One masterpiece is enough.
Decisions, or as it is known in the Japanese script, determination. This is the fifth and final scenario in the first Outbreak game, taking place in and around the Raccoon University. But most importantly, it takes place on the last day before Raccoon City would be nuked. It is unknown as to which group of survivors canonically dealt with this location, seeing as the second Outbreak game would continue the story and jump back to moments before any of the survivors would explore the Raccoon University. Well, all except for George Hamilton.
This place too. What? Dear George, I have vital information about the current city crisis which only you will understand. I'm waiting at the university. Please contact me as soon as possible. Peter Jenkins.
This is Raccoon University. Why there?
What's interesting to note is that at the beginning of this scenario, we see that the underground parking garage of the RPD is being used as a rescue station. And this is where the survivor George Hamilton sees a note from his friend Peter Jenkins asking for help at the university. So he sets off to lead a group of 2 to 3 survivors into the university and search for Peter Jenkins. Once you enter the university, there's plenty of exploring to be done, but since this scenario is the longest scenario in the game, you'll need to search with haste and figure out exactly what to do next. However, I'll be demonstrating how to quickly solve each puzzle in order to complete the scenario and observe how the story progresses. One thing you'll notice in the north wall is a stuffed deer head mounted on the wall. It has empty eye sockets, so now you know what you need to obtain. First thing you must do is enter the door in the middle of the east wall. There will be 2 zombies in this room. Try to move past them and head into the next room on the opposite end. Here, move to the right side. Slide the picture frame upward to reveal a hidden power switch for the cuckoo clock. Now pick up the number memo on the desk to reveal the time to set the clock to. The numbers are different for each difficulty setting. Here's an example of what the settings are for each difficulty. Now take the red jewel and head back into the main lobby of the university. Once you're in the lobby, head upstairs into the only door available upstairs. If you're playing on the easy or normal difficulty, search the desk to find a first aid spray and a folding knife. You can also search the second balcony to find a green herb near the southwest window, including a red herb. After entering the southeast door, run through the hall and either avoid or deal with the 2 zombies in this area. This area includes hutch dressers that can be pushed to find a useful item underneath them. Anyways, there will be 2 doors facing each other. Enter the south door. Here you'll find a few more useful items, but enter the next door ahead of you, and this is the president room. Examine the fireplace to find a portrait of a statue holding a blue gem. This hints at the statue in the room to the north side holding the blue gem. So pull either rope to lower the statue's arm, allowing you to take it. But be aware that there's a 50-50 chance that a zombie will appear in the president room after pulling the rope. But if a zombie does appear, just ignore it and exit the room as soon as possible. Now exit the drawing room and enter the north door in front of you. This is the art safe room, and here you'll find the statue with the blue gem. Take it and head back downstairs to the main lobby of the university to insert both gems into the eye sockets of the deer head to reveal a secret entrance behind you. Descend down the stairs to find Peter Jenkins and trigger this cutscene.
No!
After the cutscene, you can leave the area or examine the notes left by. The note reads, "George, I'm a dead man. Hurry and create the reagent. Then get the hell out of Raccoon. And written on the back it says, "There's a reagent incubator in the lab. Collect the 3 key ingredients. Set them in the incubator." The rest is illegible due to the blood stain, but now we know what the next objective is: to create a reagent. Next to his body you'll find 2 more notes, a torn memo revealing the first digit to the elevator code, and a memo revealing the 3 components needed to create the reagent. The second part of the elevator code memo is located in the first floor passage B area next to a stepladder and some boxes. You can explore this location by reaching the university lobby and heading through the door at the southeast end of the lobby. But if you want to skip this process, then here are the elevator codes. Just type the correct one and you'll activate the elevator, allowing access to the B4 floor, where you'll explore the underground railway and air exhaust tower, including the B2 floor taking you through the water treatment facility, and the 3rd floor, which is where you'll find the reagent incubator. So the 3rd floor is where you'll go last. For now, you'll need to decide on which of the 2 B floors you'll be exploring, because once you've chosen either floor, one of your partners will go with you and your second partner will search the other floor. Both floors contain a key ingredient to creating the reagent known as the daylight vaccine, and depending on how long it takes you to find the item in your location, it can determine whether your second partner managed to survive alone and find the item and bring it to you by the elevator entrance in the floor that your partner chose. For now, we'll choose the one I recommend, which is the B4 floor. This one's a little more exciting. In this corridor, you'll find a few useful items, but it also depends on the difficulty you chose. So you could find pesticide spray, 2 blue herbs, and an antidote. The old subway system blueprint is posted on the safety bars to the left, and after picking up what you need here, enter the door in the middle of the east wall in the corridor. You're going to be dealing with some poisonous creatures up ahead, but you can either maneuver around them or fight them and take them down and make some good use out of the weapons you just obtained along the way. The first enemies you'll find here are giant spiders. There are only 3 giant spiders, but they can poison you with 1 hit. Don't bother healing with the blue herb just yet. Hold on to it until you've made it out of the underground railway, including the tower. Only heal yourself or your partner if your condition is in danger. So go through these giant spiders and into the next area that lies within the dark pathway. Now it's time to stock up a bit and pick up a new weapon. If you search the flatbed on the parked engine, you'll find an assault rifle loaded with 30 rounds. There should also be a blue, green, and red herb in this area, so pick them up and combine them. After this, head north through the railway tracks and into the next area. This is where you have 2 choices. To the right side of this area lies the entrance you need to reach, but there's also an endless group of giant bees ready to swarm anyone that approached that area. Now you can either run straight ahead and try to dodge their attacks along the way, or you can enter the broken down subway train to the left side of this location and deal with a few zombies to have a better chance of reaching the entrance to the far right without dealing with the giant bees. I always recommend entering the broken subway train as well, because you just obtained an assault rifle and you gotta use it for some zombie killing action. You'll even find an additional assault rifle in the subway train, so both you and your partner can fight with the assault rifles side by side against the threats that lie ahead. So after reaching the opposite end of the subway train, exit the train and quickly enter the door to the right side of the area. There are a couple of herbs you can pick up, but there's a chance that the swarming bees will poison you if you waste time picking them up. Once you're in this area, you'll find 3 doors you can enter, and a ladder. This area will also be swarming with several zombies, so make sure to dispose of them since they will follow you into the next room you go to. The room to the far end is where you must enter. The other 2 rooms in this area contain useful items such as ammunition and healing items, so only enter those rooms if you're low on ammo or healing items. For now, head towards the room at the far end. It will be locked, but you can break it open by force or use a lockpicking tool to open it. But you can also crawl through the open floor vent where a giant bee happens to be waiting. In this area, you just need to step onto the ledge and cross the ledge to the north end where you can crawl through another floor vent and into the storeroom. Just make sure to dispose of the giant bee first. A zombie will be in this room, so dispose of it and push aside the locker to crawl through yet another open floor vent. Again, if you're playing as Alyssa or any of her character types, you can use a lockpicking tool to open this door, or break it open by force, but it's always best to just crawl through the open floor vent. Here you'll have a small puzzle to deal with. It's basically the same puzzle that restores the power in the Apple Inn Hotel from the Hellfire scenario, so there's no need to explain how it works. Actually, I didn't even explain how it works since it's much easier to see how it's done rather than explaining it. After completing this puzzle, backtrack towards the T-shaped passway and climb up the ladder at the south end. In this area, there's only one door up ahead. There's also a handgun close to it, so if you need it, take it with you. Once you've entered the room up ahead, it's time to explore the air exhaust tower, which is swarming with giant poisonous bees. So run over to the central lift and get on board to start ascending to the top. Bees will swarm around and attack you for about a minute as the elevator reaches the top. It's more fun than difficult when reaching this point in the game, and you've already obtained one of the best weapons in the game, so eliminate as many giant bees as you can. After the elevator reaches the next floor, exit the elevator and run around the catwalk to the north side of the B1 level and look for the vial containing the V poison, which is one of the key ingredients to create the reagent. After obtaining it, go upstairs and enter the room in front of you. In this room, you can save your progress, heal your characters, and prepare to obtain the next item to create the reagent. Just hope that your second partner managed to survive and obtain that second ingredient on their own. After exiting the room, it should trigger a cutscene involving the new tyrant known as Thanatos, who is confronted by a group of UBCS members battling it out in front of the Raccoon University.
Target is closing in! Alright, come on.
The thing's too huge. These 9mm are useless.
Almost got him. Hold on!
Calm down. You must give me your blood.
Hey, something's wrong. Sir, let's regain our distance then.
What the?
Impressive. I won't underestimate it next time. It must be going to the man. Might as well set it up. Just in case.
After witnessing the Thanatos tyrant deal with the UBCS members, examine the body next to the semi-truck and pick up the card key and use it to enter the university through the double doors. If you're playing on the harder difficulties, the card key will be at the pier, which is located next to the door you came from. Only it won't be easy, because you'll have to avoid the Neptune sharks. They even work together, so one will knock survivors down while the other eats the bait. The other side of the pier leads back to the B2 floor where your second partner can reunite with you, assuming he or she survived on their own. Now, you don't necessarily need the card key to progress the story since all it does is give you easy access to the university and you already have ways in. Only they're quite the distance. So the card key basically gives you a shortcut. If you entered through the double doors or reunited with your second partner after surviving a run with the Neptune Sharks, use the elevator to reach the university lobby where you will now be dealing with a pursuing tyrant. As long as you're in the university, Thanatos will be after you. Like with Mr. X in the Resident Evil 2 remake, your firepower will not be enough to take it down, and it will only slow him down for about a few seconds. So what you need from him is the T-blood that must be extracted from his back, and the only way to do this is by using the electrical wires in the first floor passage B area, that is if you're playing on the easy or normal difficulties. After he drops to the floor, quickly pick up the T-blood and make your way to the main lobby and head towards the room with the elevator. Now that you have all three key items in your possession, take the elevator to the third floor and enter the rooms up ahead. You'll find some extra items along the way. Take them if you need to, but once you enter the experiment room, insert the three items into the reagent generator to trigger a cutscene.
Hey, can you hear me? The serum's almost ready. Get over to the lab, now.
After the short cutscene, the southeast door will unlock, so enter the room where you will explore the hollowed halls of insanity that lie within. You'll find hanging BOWs and the body of the UBCS member that was taken by Thanatos earlier. You'll also find some very useful weapons and items to help you deal with Thanatos now that the scenario is about to conclude. Once you pick up everything you need, continue east through the plastic tarp into the second hall, and another cutscene will occur.
My apologies for this place being so hectic. I have been monitoring your progress from here. I am grateful for your assistance. Daylight is it. The only resource against the T-virus. I cannot give it over to Umbrella. They're the ones responsible for the catastrophe which has befallen the city. In retrospect, that entire T project was a total disaster. Brute force should not be the only criterion for a weapon. It must also be beautiful, unique, and godlike. You will also assist me. You're going to play with my ultimate creation.
Farewell. Almost time.
After Nikolai eliminated Dr. Mueller, he secretly planted explosive charges all over the university building, so a set timer will commence to count down, but you'll have plenty of time to exit the building. Searching near Dr. Mueller will be a handgun in case you need it. You probably won't, seeing as you should have grenade launchers and assault rifles with you by now. You'll also find extra ammo for both weapons once you're outside, so the handgun is probably quite useless by now. Before you do anything, make sure to examine the computers next to Dr. Mueller's body from both the left and right sides. The left side allows you to reactivate the reagent generator, and the right side unlocks the secret escape route from the second hall. Now here's where it's time to make the big decision. The decision that determines which ending you'll be getting. Before using the secret escape route, you can head back into the experiment room and wait beside the reagent production device to obtain a sample of the daylight vaccine. In the normal difficulty mode, it takes 30 seconds for the machine to create one sample. You can hand these out to your partners so they can each take it for themselves and no longer be infected. This can be really helpful if the infection is close to killing them. But to easily defeat Thanatos, you're going to need at least one sample with you. I'll explain how different decisions equal different endings in a bit. So for now, let's say you took a daylight sample for each of your partners, one for yourself, and an extra one on the side. Now, you may take the secret escape route, climb down the ladder on the other side, and enter the room at the opposite end. This will lead you into the president's room of the university. Continue into the drawing room, and by now you might end up bumping into Thanatos once again. So try maneuvering around him and continue running down the corridor and into the main lobby of the building. Once you reach the lobby, chances are that Thanatos will be on your tail. But with both partners by your side, and all the weapons and ammo you've obtained, this shouldn't be a problem. Make your way towards the outside of the building, either entering the waiting room hallway, which is the long way, or break open the door without the doorknob to exit the building as quickly as possible. Again, you'll have plenty of time to spare, so you can relax outside and wait until the countdown expires, triggering another cutscene.
What was that?
Is anyone down there? We're here to get you out.
Somewhere close.
There's a courtyard in that direction. Go there. We don't have much time. Hurry!
After the building explodes, giant wasps will invade the parking area, so ignore them since killing one will only make another appear. Head towards the exit in the southeast corner of the back square. From here, you can explore the area and find ammunition for your assault rifles. Extra grenade rounds are here as well as healing items, but once you move past a large square hole in the ground, or drop off the truck trailer next to the hole, Thanatos will appear. Thanatos has 4 different attacks. Luckily this time, he does not have a one-hit kill move, and with the large battleground you have here, it's more exciting than an intensifying fight. He can perform a wide swing attack, a dash attack, an extremely wide jump attack, and a grab, shake, and smash attack which deals the most damage. With all the firepower you've obtained by this point, you shouldn't have a problem dealing with Thanatos, but if you desperately need to defeat the creature, there's a rusty locked storage cabinet in the unloading passage northeast corner. Shoot it until it reveals what's inside, which is a rocket launcher. This will easily take down Thanatos. That is, if you don't miss the shot since you only have one rocket, so be sure to make it count. Even after taking it down with a rocket launcher, Thanatos refuses to stay down, and he will once again challenge you to a final boss fight at the front square for a rematch. There will be extra healing items and ammunition in this location, but what you'll also find is the ampule shooter. By combining it with the daylight vaccine, you'll be able to put Thanatos down for good. So if you still had that extra daylight vaccine in your inventory, now's the best time to use it. Although it will affect the ending of the scenario depending on whether you used or have a daylight vaccine after this final boss fight. The ampule shooter will be on the tank that's parked in the garage, so either use it on Thanatos or go toe-to-toe with the beast by keeping a good distance from it while firing everything you got until it drops dead. When it comes to the Outbreak scenarios, I always recommend that newcomers start each scenario with the easy difficulty mode because the difficulty changes will randomize the location of most items and even include more tasks that need to be completed. And what I explained was how to complete the scenario in under the normal difficulty mode. If you play this in the hard mode, you'll have less ammo and healing items scattered throughout the scenario. Of course, this is the same for every scenario in the harder difficulties, but this one is the longest scenario in the game, so it does get challenging, especially if we're talking about the very hard difficulty. As a side note for that difficulty, when you reach the location of Peter Jenkins, he will rise as a zombie and attack you. In order to get the P base, you'll have to choose to enter the B2 floor when you get the elevator working. In this area, you'll find a door that takes you to the pier outside, and an open manhole where George will be lying next to it. He'll appear injured and will even provide you with a couple pills to heal you and temporarily stop the infection in your blood. His appearance also depends on whether you chose him as your character or not. Climb down the ladder to enter the water purifying facility. Here, you'll descend into an underground sewer, but don't worry about giant spiders. They won't appear in this area. Instead, you'll have to deal with a couple zombies in your way. You can find an iron pipe and a folding knife hidden underneath the water's surface next to the ladder, in case you really need a weapon. Head into the east waterway to find another ladder. Climb it and head through the door in front of you. But be aware of the zombie that'll attack you just as the camera angle shifts. There will also be a zombie waiting by the entrance up the ladder, so dispose of the two so they don't follow you throughout the next parts ahead. There will be 2 paths ahead, including a zombie close by. Take the path to your character's right side. Run straight through the corridor and go through the door up ahead. Continue east to the next door. The next door to you is a restroom which you can find a grenade launcher and healing items. Be sure to take them with you as you will be needing them in a minute. After grabbing these items, cross the bridge ahead to trigger a cutscene revealing additional creatures you'll be facing off against. Eliminate the Hunter Gamma in front of you and pick up the key with the red tag on the floor. Now backtrack all the way to the entrance close to the sewers. And this time, take the other entrance facing the opposite door where you came from. There will be another corridor to run through, including a couple zombies. So take them down or move past them and continue forward until you see a door at the corner of the corridor. Enter it if you want access to another grenade launcher, a first aid spray, and the water purifying facility map. After grabbing the items from this room, continue through the corridor and enter the next room in your path. Once you're inside the Waterworks administration office, there will be a red door in the corner that cannot be forced open. This is when you use the key with the red tag. There will also be a handgun rounds, a green herb, and a reagent case. But do not pick up the reagent case in this room. You have to use the reagent case from a different location, which we'll have to bring back and use the machine to produce the P-base. So go through the red door. You're gonna have to deal with 2 Hunter Gammas in this area and make your way towards the control panel on the east wall and climb onto the platform. You might find grenade rounds up here, but besides that, examine the control panel and release the lock on the northwest door. Once again, backtrack all the way to the same area where the Hunter Gamma cutscene occurred. This time, you're going to have to grab onto the pipeline overhead and shimmy your character across the other platform. But make sure that you take down all Hunter Gammas in this area because they will immediately swim towards your character and knock the survivors into the water, which can lead to them swallowing the survivors whole with no chances of escape, unless your partner can shoot the Hunter Gamma as it's happening. There are 2 pipelines that you must cross in order to reach the other side of the facility, and your characters will move slowly when crossing with the pipelines, so ensure that all Hunter Gammas are down for good. Once you've reached the spot, there will be a ladder to your right. This leads your character to the parking area by the Raccoon University. Don't use a ladder. Instead, hop off the crates and enter the quality assurance testing room. You'll find a couple items here like the large antivirus pill and a blue herb. But exit the room through the west room where you'll encounter another Hunter Gamma. They're slow enough to maneuver around so you don't have to waste your firepower on it. But it's also slow enough to not miss a shot if you want to dispose of it as well. Proceed into the door ahead, and now you'll be back at the water tank room, but on the side you could not reach since there's a fence in the way. There's a chance that the Hunter Gammas in this area will be back, so once again be sure to take them down, but shoot them through the fence since you're gonna have to jump onto that area, but only after you've entered the observation booth and finally got a hold of the sealed reagent case. Now you can jump into the water and backtrack towards the Waterworks administration office and produce the P-base and finally exit the water purifying facility for good. Note that if you did have a partner that went to the B4 floor to obtain the V-poison, then you'll have to re-enter the old subway rail siding area to reunite with your partner and take the V-poison from them. But if your second partner does not appear in that area, then chances are that your partner did not survive and you might have to pick up the V-poison from the air exhaust tower yourself. If you're playing as Yoko or have her on your team alive near the end, you'll get an additional cutscene where Dr. Mueller interacts with her.
Yoko, it's been 2 years. Oh, but you might not know that. After all, what happened was so terrible. I think you'd want to erase it from your memory.
This doesn't explain much when it comes to revealing who she is, but it does mean that Yoko must have been a valuable asset to Umbrella, seeing as this researcher from the Umbrella R&D Center knows her, including Monica, who was a researcher working for William Birkin at the Nest Umbrella Lab. So, what does this mean for Yoko? At the start of the scenario, before obtaining the red and blue gems, there is a side puzzle you can also solve which can be a little beneficial for your playthrough. When exploring the waiting room hallway, there's a statue of the former school president with brass glasses on. Take the glasses with you, then head upstairs into the second floor. All the way across the corridor you'll find another statue of a school president. Place the brass glasses on the statue to reveal a hidden door at the north end of the second floor passage. In the easy difficulty, the brass glasses will appear in the drawing room. In hard difficulty, they appear in the first floor passage A location. And in the very hard difficulty, they'll be in the locker at the control room between the old subway system and the air exhaust tower. But they can only be acquired with Alyssa or any of her character types since they're the only ones with the lock-picking tool. Now, this will become useful as a shortcut when dealing with Thanatos and your escape near the end, but since you can always just force open the door without the knob in the university lobby, I always prefer that approach rather than completing this side quest. The pier location that includes the Neptune Sharks is a location that is not required to enter either, but if you are willing to try, you can actually kill the shark that's in the middle. I've fired countless rounds at the other shark that pushes you into the water, but it didn't seem to phase it or slow it down, so it's possible that only the shark in the middle is capable of being eliminated. And as mentioned before, in the harder difficulties when Thanatos pursues you throughout the university, you won't be able to fire an electric charge on him using the hanging cables in the first floor passage B area. Instead, you'll have to use the secret entrance nearby, which includes another electric circuit that will allow you to shock Thanatos with. It'll be even more difficult since the wires are at an angle that make it difficult to try and lure Thanatos to step in that spot while you try to examine the control panel. Unfortunately, stunning him with firepower will leave him invulnerable against the electric charge, so it'll take a great amount of trial and error to overcome this situation, especially when Thanatos is capable of executing survivors with a single attack similar to how Wesker was impaled by the Tyrant in RE1. Infinity mode makes this scenario vastly more entertaining since you can find up to 3 assault rifles, a grenade launcher or 2, and you don't have to worry about wasting valuable shots. The fact that one of your partners can end up solving one of the main puzzles for you is highly welcomed since you can't play the online mode to have a friend take care of one of the main puzzles while you work on the other. Not unless you have a gaming PC and the PS2 emulator to use the fan servers, which are still being utilized to this day. But when it comes to the negatives on this scenario, once again, we only got to see one Cerberus appear in the whole scenario. I wish that the harder difficulty modes would include more Cerberus. Since it only appears in this location, most of the time I didn't bother checking that area out. Even when Thanatos is after you, it's always best to use the door that's missing the doorknob and just force it open rather than to take the longer way around, which is where the Cerberus would appear at. I just don't understand, because the Cerberus work best as a big threat only when they are in groups. So every time I'm confronted with only one Cerberus, I easily dispose of it without breaking a sweat. Heck, you can even take it down without a weapon. Just tackle it once, then stomp on it repeatedly until it vanishes. When dealing with obtaining the sealed P-base, I don't see why they included a reagent case next to the machine that creates the P-base if it depletes by the time you reach the 3rd floor. Was it included just to troll the player into thinking they got the correct item just to realize it depleted itself from oxygen contamination by the time you try inserting it into the reagent generator? What I would have recommended instead was to make this the necessary case that stays airtight for a short time, but just barely enough time to reach the reagent generator in the 3rd floor and combine all 3 ingredients, but only in the hardest difficulty mode. This way, the wrong case can be useful, but only necessary in the very hard difficulty, especially if they remove the sealed case so players will have to use the defective one quickly. Since this scenario started off focusing on the survivor George Hamilton, I feel like the developers missed out on including extra cutscenes for George alone throughout the scenario. If you play as him, you won't notice a difference by the time you complete the scenario. It instead shifts its attention to Yoko near the end, giving her an extra cutscene if she's in this scenario when the survivors meet the researcher Greg Mueller. And George, well, if you're not playing as him, you'll find him injured sitting by the open manhole in the B2 floor. This again raises more questions than answers. Why was George injured when he was the one leading the group before the scenario began? And interacting with him won't give us an answer. He might give you a couple pills, but that's about it. No information regarding what did this to him. And if you play as him and find his friend Peter Jenkins, the short cutscene basically shows an identical reaction as the other survivors. I think the least they could have done was extend George's cutscene and have Peter Jenkins still be alive to have one final interaction with his old friend before he becomes a zombie in front of him.
It's finished. I can finally rest. No, I have one thing left to do. I'm not a savior. It's just my duty.
But aside from that, you are left with many decisions to go by in this exceptionally long scenario. There are shortcuts, up to 6 different enemy types to deal with, an enjoyable boss fight, but most of all, we get one of the best things that the first Resident Evil game rewarded its players with: multiple endings for each character. Only here, it takes that reward to a whole new level. One that no one would ever believe Capcom was ever generous enough to pull off. There are good endings, bad endings, great endings, and since there's up to 8 canonical characters, that makes 24 endings, 3 for each character. But then there are also 4 special endings and an end credits epilogue. So that literally means you have a total of 28 endings in this game alone. So in the end, whether you live or die at the end of this scenario, you're gonna be left with a satisfying number of conclusions for every playthrough.
Decided to stay here. Escape's not for me. I'm a carrier. Good.
I'll finish this.
That's it for the video. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button to give this video a chance to grow. I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters for their impeccable generosity. Your support means a lot to me, and you are part of the reason why I try to make the best content that I can. And if you like this content, check out the rest of my channel. You'll find more entertainment from separate franchises I like to cover, such as Mortal Kombat, Dragon Ball Z, Celebrity Deathmatch, Men in Black, The Mask, Batman comics, The Terminator, TMNT, Dino Crisis, Resident Evil, and more. If you're a Patreon supporter, check out my exclusive videos such as the Gantz content. And if you'd like to show your support, go to my Patreon and support the channel, which is only $1. Sacrifice that McChicken for extra quality content, my friend. But anyways, I'll see you all in the next video, and remember to have an awesome day.